Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back yet again to another episode of Before the Freak Out. I am your host with the most, as always, Mr. Charlie Crick. And, of course, this is Raw Recap. Run the thing.
Are you ready?
We are Before the Freak Out. Wrestling for the fans, by the fans.
The number one podcast for the latest on Raw, SmackDown, all pay-per-views. My name's Charlie. I've been a wrestling fan since I was the age of 15, and over the last 5 years I've gone on the most insane journey. We go through everything, analysing every moment. Welcome to Before the Freak Out. So come along and let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to yet another episode of Raw Recap here on Before the Freak Out. This week we'll be going over everything that went down on Monday Night Raw on the 19th of May. Here we go. You ready? I'm ready. Let's do this. Okay, so where do we start this week? So, we open with Logan Paul coming to the ring to address the audience, as always, and, promote his match that he's got coming up on Saturday Night Live, which is this Saturday, which is midnight in the UK, I believe. So, yeah, it should be great. He started off with this promo. He was going this time next week I'll be coming back and I'll be your World Heavyweight Championship. Didn't go down well. He was doing all the no yeets and that, but then all of a sudden he gets interrupted by Gunther, of all people, which I thought was a bit strange, but it made sense later on. So Gunther interrupted him and was saying that I actually have quite a lot of respect for you, which I thought was a bit, I was like, where is this going? You could teach me a few things about business. He was telling Logan Paul, but he went, I could teach you a few things about being professional in wrestling, taking it seriously. And he said, if the belt ends up on you, you've got me coming for you. And then, of course, we thought that was the end of it, but no. We then found Jey Uso behind him, who kicked Logan Paul in the face. Very, very good opener to the show, I have to say. I was very happy with that. It was a really good promo by the two of them. I found it really, really, really good. It was I didn't expect to see Gunther that way. But, when I realised, I was like, oh, he's still after Jey. We're going to run this again, aren't we? So, yeah, just to make you aware, I can see us having a third. Is it going to be a fourth by now? Jey versus Gunther match? I really don't know, but yeah, it's gonna go that way by the looks of it. But it depends, if Jey holds on, or there's a lot of people coming for Jey at the moment, and I will get to who else later. So moving on from there, we then had the first women's qualifying match of the night for the Money in the Bank matches. So just to explain very quickly, we've already got Alexa Bliss up there for that, and we usually have one women's match per week for the qualifiers, which is only 2 weeks away this Saturday. And we had 2 women's matches this week. I don't know why. I think it may have something to do with Saturday night's main event. I don't know why. I've just got some feeling that, someone particular, Mr. John Cena, might be, qualifying on Raw next week. Might be announced on Saturday night main event. But yeah, I think that's why there wasn't a men's qualifying match this week, because the person that's going to be involved is someone like John Cena or Randy Orton, which doesn't really make sense with him already being champion, but genuinely with him being a heel, I wouldn't be surprised if he went for both things. Seriously, it really would not. It wouldn't surprise me at all, in the slightest, if that's the road we're going down. But yes, the first match we had tonight was Becky versus Natalya. And, who was the other person? Yes, so the first women's Money in the Bank qualifying match had Becky Lynch, Natalya, and Roxanne Perez in. It was fantastic, the whole match. Brilliant work from all three of them. Was really impressed with this match. I think this was my match of the night, I have to say. It really was that good. especially for qualifying matches, which they've been making quite short recently. But no, the match was brilliant. There was some brilliant work between Roxanne and Becky at the beginning, some brilliant work between Natalya and Roxanne as well later on. There was some brilliant rope work and working together at some points to pull off some of the stuff they did in the ring. And then, of course, Becky was pulled out of the ring near the end by Ivy Sane because of what's happened the last few weeks. And is this right? So yeah, the match was fantastic. One of my favourite things of the whole match was Natalya got a double sharpshooter on Roxanne and Becky. It was brilliant. I've never seen that done before. And fair play, and a really good shout out to obviously her uncle, Bret Hart. Yeah, that was fantastic. Really, really loved that. The match ended with Lyra Valkyria pulling Becky from the ring and going into a fight with her. Of course, them two have been going at it for nearly 3 weeks now. It's been brilliant, the little storyline we've had running there. And the fight kept on just going whilst the match continued. Because of that, so with Roxanne Perez in there now, we now have Alexa and Roxanne Perez. And of course, I'm going to jump ahead and go straight into the women's second qualifying match for Money in the Bank that evening. And of course, we had Zoe Stark, Kairi Sane, and Rhea Ripley. Now, this match was set out to be brilliant. It was the first time Zoe Stark had been back since, I think, December, and it's the first time we'd seen Kairi Sane for nearly a year since her hand injury, which is really good to see. Sadly, the match did not go to plan, as many of you may be aware of by now. It started off really good. Some brilliant work by Kairi Sane, by the way. Really good to see her back. Rhea Ripley was on fire throughout the entire match. But, of course, one of the things that happened very, very early on in the match was Becky Lynch was thrown out of the ring for Kairi Sane to turn around and see Zoe Stark on the third rope jump and land on her knee in an incredibly uncomfortable way, to the point where you still can, if you're watching this, if you watch it now, you can still hear Zoe's gasps of pain from when she fell and when the ref started to get involved. The medics ran in straight away. Both Rhea and Irie were just given the hand signal to say, hold back, this is serious. And within, I'd say within about 2-3 seconds of it happening, the audience became aware how serious the injury was, purely from the sounds coming from Zoe, which was really not nice to hear. The reaction from Michael Cole, and of course, how quickly the camera angles changed. We went from watching the two girls in the ring still, just sitting at the side whilst an MD ran in. And then, of course, we then cut to Michael and Pat McAfee, who are talking, and within about 3 seconds of it being on them, it goes up to the Money in the Bank briefcases and fades to black. I don't know how long it faded away for, because I didn't watch it live, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was a good 5-minute break on it off air, considering the match had literally only started about, I'd say there was no way it was more than 2 minutes in. No way. When it did come back, I didn't see this, and I don't know how I missed it, but apparently Zoe tried to hold on to the MD and walk back, but within 1 second of putting her foot down, she was literally picked up and was carried out. And it was only on screen for like a split second, but it left the match in a very strange position where it was a qualifying triple threat to now being a fight between Kairi Sane and Rhea Ripley, and one of them was going to win. I think from the outset of the match, I was pretty convinced that it was going to be Rhea. I was actually quite surprised to even see her in a qualifying match for Money in the Bank. But, you know, fair enough, it does make sense. She's never done it before, but it's just because the amount she has done within the first 5 years of her career, it's just been incredible that I didn't really think that she'd need it. Saying that, Becky's doing it because she wants to get the, you know, Triple Crown on winning everything in her career. That's why Becky's still doing it, so that kind of made sense. But yeah, the rest of the match was, I didn't really make a lot of other notes apart from they worked really well together, considering how quickly that match changed, and how, you know, I'm pretty sure that there was a very high chance that Irie or Zoe was supposed to actually win that match, just because they are at a lower tier than Rhea. And as I said, I think it would have made more sense, but because of what's happened, I think that the outcome of the match changed, and because of that, Rhea is now, you know, brilliant. Rhea is now in her first Money in the Bank match. I believe it's her first. If I'm wrong, I do apologise, but I'm pretty sure this is her first. Surely I'd remember if she's been in one before. Surely I would. Yeah, I'm pretty sure in saying that she hasn't been in one before. So going on from that, the best wishes to, obviously, Zoe to get better soon. But this, by the looks of it, from what I've read up online, is it's a ACL or an MSL tear in the knee, which we are pretty sure in saying is the same as what Charlotte Flair took a year off to come back from. So we're looking at a year's recovery here. I know Zoe's had problems with knee injuries before, so I don't want to put anything out there, but I definitely think that's something that will be looked at this stage, considering she was off since December from another injury. Again, as I said, when I said at the beginning that one of them came back from an injury, that was Irie Sane, who came back from a hand injury. I think she broke her wrist in 2 places, but Zoe Stark had also, this was literally her first appearance since December, since a previous knee injury or leg injury. I'm pretty sure it was the knee as well, because she's known to have problems in the past for that. So with the way it went, I'm not going to put anything out there, but let's just hope she gets better soon. Obviously, as I said, it's a year's recovery, so all we can hope is that can get, you know, she gets recovered as quickly as possible and we see her back as soon as possible. But again, best wishes to Zoe Stark on that one, which, again, it just want to reiterate that now makes, we have our halfway point in the women's matches for the Money in the Bank match, which is really exciting. We've got Alexa Bliss. We've now got Alexa Bliss. We've got Roxanne Perez, and of course now we have Rhea Ripley. Shaping up to be a fantastic women's Money in the Bank ladder match there. I've said it before, I love Money in the Bank. It's one of my favourites. And yeah, it's building up very well this year. It's building up really, really well. Moving on from there, I realised I did skip a match, the first match of the night, which was AJ Styles and Penta versus JD McDonough and Finn Balor. Fantastic match this was. Brilliant match to open the show with. There was some people we saw work with each other in this match that I don't think we've actually seen work together before. So I saw Penta and Finn. I think that's the first time we've seen them work together since, in the ring, that is, since WrestleMania. We saw AJ and JD go up against each other. I can't remember in the past seeing that. That was really cool. But of course, we also got to see Finn versus AJ, which we've seen before, but it's been many, many years, and it was really nice to see that. Some brilliant work from both tag teams here, working really well, and the in and out fluidity of the partners was fantastic. There was a brilliant coup de grace by Finn Balor in this match. Penta was all over the place as always. Carlito interrupt and tried to get away with his old Judgment Day tricks, but didn't. But the thing that surprised me the most about this match was that the way it ended was Penta was outside the ring after attacking, I believe it was Finn, and then leant up against the barriers only for El Americano to headbutt him with what looked like a metal plate stuck to his mask. One thing on this really quickly, I've got to give props to Pat McAfee here, because honestly the line he came out with really made me laugh. Michael was going, you saw easily he was wearing a metal plate. You could see him shouting it there, the metal plate, and he's going, no it wasn't, he was just shouting, it's my forehead, in Spanish. That really made me laugh. So fair play to Pat McAfee for really making me laugh and coming up with that on the spot. But no, it was a really, really good match. I was really, really impressed with it. Let me just check here. So yeah, just to end on that really quickly, really, really good first match that we opened with. But of course I did it in a different order, so I apologise about that. Now, very quickly, I'm going to go over a couple of the very quick promos this week. And the reason why I'm going to put them all together is because minus the first one, which I should have really done when I introduced the Money in the Bank matches, but still, digress. The other three, all seem to kind of connect. So the only other one that we had was that didn't connect was Io Sky was getting interviewed backstage by Kathy Kelly before Becky Lynch came in and said, you've never actually beaten me single-handedly. And she went, yes, but I've won Money in the Bank. And she was going, all that stuff. She went, well, we'll see what happens. And it just walks to her going for her entrance for the Money in Bank match, which I told you of how that happened. But that was one of the only other promos. The other two, there was another three, but I will get to the third one at the end. I'll put these two together. So there was one before the JD and Finn versus Penta and AJ Styles match, which was, you saw Paul Heyman speak to Jey Uso backstage, saying that was very, very interesting. Just so you're aware that Braun isn't afraid of you. And there was a few facts that was thrown out by the wise man himself, which said, fact, Gunther has a point. He doesn't have the belt back. And you are the champion still. Fact, you are facing Bron Breakker tonight. Fact, this match is not for the World Heavyweight title. Fact, this match is only to make you slow down when you face Logan Paul later this week at Saturday Night Live. Saturday night. Oh, fuck, I was doing so well. Sorry to take a bit of time out in the vlog for you, but I wanted to talk about our sponsor, the amazing WrestleCrate, as you may have heard here. What is a WrestleCrate? Well, let me tell you. WrestleCrate is a monthly subscription box for people like you, that love wrestling. What do you get in this box, you're probably wondering? Well, let me show you. Autographs from people like Daniel Bryan, Lita, Godfather, DDP, Kane, Sting, the Hardy Boys. Well, what else do you get? Well, maybe you get a cool poster like this one, cool key rings, even pretty cool Lucha Libre puzzles like this. Cool pins like these, and you also get awesome t-shirt just like all of these. It's the best part, because you come through us before the free count, you can get yourself a free WrestleCrate with your first order just by going to www.wrestlecrate.co.uk and using the code BTTC, and you get a free box with your first order. How awesome does that sound? So what are you doing sticking around here? Go and get yourself one. Fact, this is only going to make you slow down and weaker at Saturday Night Main Event. Fact, you will no longer be holding the title in the very near future, because fact, the game plan always ends with Seth Rollins holding that title. Ooh, Very, very good, Mr. Paul Heyman. Very, very good indeed. And then we cut to another promo late in the day, which was Sammy speaking to Jay backstage. It was very, very brief. It was purely him saying, I've got your back, don't worry about Saturday, you know I'll be there, but for tonight, you need to get ready to face Breaker, which I'll be there to help you. Or, like, I'll be there if you need me on Saturday. It was something along them lines. It was a very, very brief conversation there. And then the other one was, we then saw Chad Gable about 10 minutes after seeing El Americano. Significant? I think so. So we saw him talk backstage. But before we saw Chad Gable, may I mention, originally Adam Pearce was speaking to Tozawa and Maxine Dupree, who agreed that if Tozawa gets the all clear next week, we will be seeing Tozawa versus Rusev in a match on Monday Night Raw. Very exciting after his attack on Tozawa. I'd say nearly 3 weeks ago now. So yeah, building up to that. I don't really know what else they've been doing with Rusev. It's been very strange. I don't... why they've built up this story to be something between them two, you know. Interesting way to, you know, start building someone back up with. Not to say anything against Tozawa, actually, at all, or the Alpha Academy. It just surprised me that that's the route they're going down at the moment with that. But, you know, and then, of course, Chad Gable interrupts, of course, also being the former leader of the Alpha Academy, and now the leader of American Made. He was there with, of course, Zoe, I think it was Zoe Stark, and seeing which matches he could get into at some point. And of course, the New Day then interrupted and said, look, you've already got your Creed brothers coming up against us next week in a tag team match. So, you know, I think you've got plenty going on for now. So, yeah, a little promo for both of them matches there. Very clever putting them two together. And then the final promo that I wanted to talk about was Seth Rollins. And he went up to a couple of people tonight to talk about, to see if, you know, they wanted to lend a hand with him getting his world championship back against Jey Uso. First person he spoke to was Gunther, who said, you know, like, if you take the title off him, you know, eventually you'd have to face me. But remember, Braun works for me, so it'll be down to how he ends up tonight. So technically, when you do have the title, you'd have me to thank for. I'm just saying. I thought that was pretty good. And then, of course, Logan Paul was going to leave the building, but Seth Rollins said, you know, if you win on Saturday, that title then belongs to you. You know, it will only be because Bron Breakker has taken him down tonight, which, you know, you might enjoy seeing, so you might want to stick around for that. And if so, you know, you've then got me to thank for that you got the title, because it was Bron, who works for me, who attacked him. It's a very, very clever way of Mr. Seth Rollins putting it out there, saying, look, whatever happens, as long as someone takes the title away from Jey, you got me to thank for, because, you know, Bron works for me now, and he's clearly going to kill him tonight in the main event. So, you know. The next match we then had tonight was a very quick match, but I absolutely loved it. It was Grayson Waller versus Sheamus. Of course, after last week where we had Austin Theory against Sheamus because Grayson Waller backed out, you know, he thought that he'd return the favour, Theory, by getting the match sorted at the end of last week for Grayson Waller. So, of course, we had that match. It was short, but it was fantastic. I'd say it was actually one of my favourite matches of the night as well. Starts off, Grayson Waller's doing pretty well, you know. And then he gets stopped, thrown down, picked up, and he takes 10 chops by Sheamus, which Sheamus is a beast, man. Why are we not seeing more Sheamus? Man, I've heard like some things, and I'm not going to discuss them on here because we don't talk about their lives outside of here. We just talk about what we see on there. But there's been some things I've heard I really hope aren't true about how Sheamus has been and why he was not part of WrestleMania this year. But more Sheamus. We need him back on TV, man. He's brilliant. You know, I miss the Brawling Brutes. You know, you know, Pete Dunne's around somewhere. Let's get those two back together. I don't know where Richard the Fridge is now. I don't know where he's gone. But yeah, let's get the Brawling Brutes back together and have some more fight nights. Anyway, yeah, so he took 10 chops. It started going back and forth. It was very, very good work. I was quite impressed with Grayson Waller in this match. It's very rare you get to see someone that's in a tag team have a singles match like this at any point. So I was really, really impressed with Grayson Waller in this match, I have to say. Really, really impressed with the standard of the match that he put out there. I thought it was brilliant. And then, of course, Sheamus was thrown out the ring. Very, very good move by Grayson Waller. As I said, really impressed with the way he was the whole match, but that particular move was brilliant. He then started chopping Sheamus across the chest, and he got to 4, and of course, Sheamus stopped him. Got him, threw him out the ring, picked him up, got him back on the ropes to take another 10 chops to the chest for him to throw back over and get the 3 count. As I said, it was a very quick match, but it was very entertaining. One thing I did notice was Austin Theory was at the side of the ring. He seemed very happy it wasn't him taking them chops to the chest this week. As I said before, is this the end of A-Town Down? I don't know. But maybe it is. Maybe. It's a very interesting way to break up a tag team. You know, well, how is it going to end in like a triple threat against Sheamus and neither of them win, or, you know, something like that, or they go and attack one or the other and they end up mistaking Sheamus for each other, or, you know, something like that. Is that the way we're going? Again, as I said the other day, is Austin Theory the third man? There's a few people we can now actually add to that list since last time. So here's the list since last time, and Austin Theory was on there anyway. So let's add 2 more people. Let's add Gunther, and let's add Logan Paul. I think them 2 are really good shouts to chuck on there. Because, yeah, man, I don't know. Maybe, just maybe, that's, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Logan Paul, but at the same time, I don't think Seth Rollins in a professional way wants to work with him. But having said that, he said, you know, in his promo, which was a promo, maybe we could run it back to how it was at WrestleMania 2 years ago, or whenever it was. It was the one where KSI was in the bottle. It was Mania 39, I think. I think it was Mania 39. Yeah, it was for the USA Championship. I'm sure it was. Yeah, I'll be really impressed if I got that right. So yes, I was very impressed by that match there. And of course, then we move on to our final match of the night. We had Braun versus Jey Uso. We'd been speaking about it all night, of course. And it was a banger. It did not stop from beginning to end. Jey started off very, very strong, getting in quite a few yeet kicks and most of his other moves in there. Braun then just came around and just like took over the entire match. It was fantastic. We could hear the dogs barking tonight. That's all I'm saying. It was brilliant. Some of the best parts, I've got to say, was the super kick from Jey near the beginning. That was just fantastic, which really knocked Braun off his feet, I've got to say. And, of course, Paul Heyman got involved, was distracting the referee, or he gave Braun the chair, I think, and Jey escaping from that. Just the referee's going to throw the chair out the ring. Of course, Paul Heyman then goes and grabs Jey's foot, and that's it. Jey's not having any of this. He gets out the ring and he starts going for Paul Heyman. Heyman's taking off his jacket, and just as he starts, Seth Rollins out of nowhere headbutts him or kicks him or something like that and throws him straight on the floor. The match becomes null and void. Nothing else happens. But then, of course, you've then got the awful situation where we've got 2-on-1 against Jey. Both Seth and Braun are going at it, destroying Jey. And just as I think, no, it's never going to happen. He's going to lose on Saturday. He's going to lose at his first main event because they're going to destroy him here and now. We hear Sami Zayn's music hit. And of course, at that point, we then see him come running down the ring to come and help his buddy Jey. And just as Sami gets in the ring, they start taking their step back. But before they could do anything, CM Punk's music hits and CM Punk comes down to the ring. They start going at it, and it's now Braun versus Sami. And Punk versus Seth, and back and forth, and they're out the ring, and they're in the arena, and they're going everywhere. Meanwhile, Jay's still passed out on the ground, just being able to catch his breath. They're going everywhere. We're about to cut to the end of the show, and just as that happens, we see someone get in the ring and punch Jey Uso in the face and knock him out. And of course, it's Logan Paul with the metal, whatever it is, in his knuckle or whatever they say he's apparently got, leaving Jay completely flat out on the ground, going in to this Saturday night's main event with Jey Uso and Logan Paul for the World Heavyweight Championship. We've also got, of course, Sami Zayn versus Bron Breakker, and we've got CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. We've also got Randy Orton. No, we haven't got Randy Orton. We've got John Cena versus R-Truth as well. Looking like it's going to be a fantastic Saturday night main event. I'm so excited for it. I thought it was a brilliant episode of Raw. Everything seemed a bit cut short this week. Like, just as, something good was going to happen, there was an injury or something happened, or someone ran in and all that kind of stuff. It was good. Really great setup for Saturday night, I've got to say. Really excited to see where that is and how it goes down. Will you be watching on Saturday? I know I will be. But before we get to Saturday, of course, we have got Friday night SmackDown, and I'll be filming the video in the morning to get out to you guys on Sunday, which will be SmackDown Spotlight on SmackDown. I'm getting used to these names, which we'll be back with on Sunday. And of course, 1 week we have got Money in the Bank, and I will start advertising and telling you guys now. You can find me live on TikTok on that Saturday night, coming to you for my live stream of Money in the Bank. I'm also thinking of doing a video on Worlds Collide, because I think that's going to be an amazing event as well. So you might be getting nearly 3 videos next week, maybe. You never know. But yes, maybe I'll put the 2 events together, actually. Might make it a bit easier. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening to Raw Recap. We will see you guys back here on Sunday for SmackDown on Spot. But that is it for today on Raw Recap. We will see you back here next week on Raw Recap. But of course, we will also see you Friday on Spotlight on SmackDown. We will see you then. This has been Before the Free Count. Thanks for listening.